Story 1 by Mr. Kreider. Back in 2005, when I was 18, I lived in Uvalde, Texas, a low-income neighborhood typical of the rural areas scattered throughout Texas. Uvalde was situated not far from San Antonio, the nearest city. Due to financial constraints, I attended a local community college, as that's all my parents could afford. One of my closest high school friends, Andrew, had moved to San Antonio to attend San Antonio College. He lived in a small apartment just outside the city with a roommate. His girlfriend often stayed over, making the city seem not so far away. I frequently visited him, and one weekend he invited me to crash at his place. So, I set out in my reliable, albeit beaten-up, 1995 Toyota pickup truck. Not so trusty considering the gas gauge didn't work. I had to keep track of my last fill-up and reset the trip mileage manually. Taking Route 90, a straight shot from Uvalde to San Antonio, I hit the road around 3 p.m. on a traffic-free Friday. I reached Andrew at a decent hour, and after some time spent at his apartment with his roommate, we headed to a dive bar that turned a blind eye to fake IDs. That pretty much summed up our night. Returning to their apartment around 2:01 a.m. after grabbing some food, I slept on the couch. The next day took an unexpected turn as Andrew and his girlfriend encountered issues, making the atmosphere increasingly awkward and uncomfortable as the day progressed. Not wanting to stay the night with the tension, I decided to head back home. Late at night, around midnight or a bit earlier, I found myself on a deserted Route 90. I was making decent time when suddenly the engine started sputtering. It hit me. I'd forgotten to fill up the tank. Despite slowing down, the engine cut out, and I coasted to the side of the road. Attempting to restart, the engine proved futile. My equally unreliable cell phone couldn't muster a signal, leaving me with only hazard lights as my plea for assistance. I sat on the side of the road for what felt like an eternity before finally spotting headlights. I waved frantically as the car approached, but it zoomed past, indifferent to my predicament. This happened again after another 10 minutes or so. Feeling hopeless, I contemplated spending the night in my car until sunrise. Just as I was about to settle in, a car door closing behind me snapped me out of my thoughts. Looking in the rearview mirror, I saw a car with its headlights off pulled up behind me. Approaching to investigate, I found a big pickup truck seemingly empty. I returned to my car, locking the doors, feeling uneasy. Suddenly, a tap on my window startled me. I looked up to see a man smiling down at me. When he asked if I needed a hand, I cautiously lowered the window. Explaining my predicament, I thought he meant helping with a gas jug. Stepping out of my truck, expecting to assist with refueling, I shut the door, only to find him standing there, still smiling. Then, he dropped a chilling request. "I need you to empty your pockets, please." Realizing the danger, I sprinted towards the trees. He chased after me, but my agility worked to my advantage. Zigzagging through the trees, I managed to lose him temporarily. Crouched behind a tree, I heard him uttering threats. Fear kept me frozen even as his footsteps moved away. I stayed in that position throughout the night, finally emerging at dawn. Returning to the highway, the truck behind me was gone, but my truck's doors were open. My glove box had been rifled through, and my flannel hoodie, with something in the pocket, was missing. Waving down a good Samaritan, I got a ride to the nearest gas station, filled a can with gas, and returned to my car. After refueling just enough to drive to a gas station, I headed straight home. This harrowing experience taught me a real-life lesson about the existence of both malicious individuals and compassionate strangers who lend a helping hand in times of vulnerability. Story 2 by Catherine. Back when I was 18, I must admit I was quite immature and naive. On the road, I had a tendency to be a bit of a jerk, honking impatiently, borderline cutting people off. Looking back, I realize how foolish it was, and if I ever have kids, I'll definitely be stricter with them when it comes to driving. Despite my immaturity, I found myself driving a lot, particularly when I went away to school, 5 hours away from home. No matter the day of the week, traffic near home always turned atrocious. So during breaks, I opted to drive home at night to avoid the chaos. This reduced the travel time from 4 to 5 hours down to a more manageable 3-hour drive. As winter break kicked off after the fall semester, All my friends had left for home on the same day. I decided to wait until later in the night to head out, detesting traffic as much as I did. At that time I owned a Mazda 3, a car I didn't treat gently. Admittedly, I had a reputation for consistently driving it to a near-empty tank. Passengers would often comment on it, but I assured them the car could go at least 30 miles after the needly hit E. The revelation that I was wrong came one night as I was driving home from school. About an hour into my interstate drive, the needle was firmly on E, and I was pushing my luck, waiting for a gas station sign instead of checking the nearest one on the map. The car started making strange sounds and jolting, and that's when the realization hit me. I might have actually run the tank empty this time. I took the first exit ramp, hoping it would lead me to a gas station. Unfortunately, this exit was dark, lacking streetlights with woods on either side. Fearing a loss of speed, I blew through a stop sign at the end of the ramp and made a sharp turn onto another dark road surrounded by woods. The car eventually came to a stop and the engine died. Things took a turn for the worse when I discovered I had no bars on my T-Mobile phone, known for its terrible reception far from major cities. In a moment of panic, I tried calling 911, only to realize it wouldn't work without reception. I turned on my hazard lights and waited, hoping someone would pass by. It felt like an eternity before headlights approached. Flashing my headlights, the car passed me, made a U-turn, and pulled up behind me on the grass. I cracked my window just a bit as a man approached. I explained my situation, and he offered to give me a ride to the nearest gas station. The man seemed trustworthy, bald, with glasses. With no apparent alternatives, I reluctantly accepted his offer. I got out of the car, making sure to lock the doors first. His car, a black Honda from around 2010, had a peculiar smell that I couldn't quite identify. He made another U-turn and started driving in the direction he was going before. During the ride, he engaged in small talk, asking about where I was from and other basic questions. However, the atmosphere changed when I heard strange noises coming from the back of the vehicle, resembling thumps and bumps. At first, I attributed it to bumps in the road or a loose object in the trunk. He kept talking non-stop until we reached a town-looking area with lights, buildings, a diner, and a few small houses. At the first intersection with a red light since I got in his car, there was an eerie silence, broken by the unmistakable sound of someone screaming in the trunk, followed by thumps and bangs. I looked at the man, and in a split second I unbuckled my seatbelt, opened the door, and ran. Simultaneously, he tried grabbing me, but I managed to escape. I ran into the diner, causing a scene and using their phone to call 911. The situation escalated with multiple police officers arriving to take a detailed report. They gathered information about the man's car, his appearance, and the pickup location. They also assisted me in contacting AAA, which eventually came to my location to fill my car with gas. This was undeniably the scariest experience of my life, shaking me to the core. Throughout the rest of the journey home, I couldn't help but hope they found that man. I also hope that whoever was in that trunk is still alive today. For all I know, that man could have been taking me somewhere dangerous, and I was just fortunate to get out at that red light. Story 3 by Anonymous, residing in Morganton, nestled in Burke County, North Carolina. I've grown accustomed to the serene rhythms of rural life. My husband and I share a pleasant plot of land, and my work schedule, characterized by fluctuating shifts between day and night, adds an element of unpredictability to our routine. It was during one of those night shifts that the unsettling incident unfolded, around 3 a.m. My phone, nearly drained of battery, reflected the toll of the exhausting and hunger-inducing night. In search of relief, I made a pit stop at a local gas station, intending to grab $10 worth of gas and a packaged sandwich. Choosing to dine inside the gas station cafe, I noticed a sketchy individual casting furtive glances my way, eventually leaving without making a purchase. After refueling, an oddly potent scent of gasoline lingered in the air. The night's journey on the dark, winding roads demanded careful navigation, especially given my fatigue. Unexpectedly, the gas gauge needle plummeted to the ominous E, accompanied by the low gas light and a persistent beep. Perplexed, I pulled over, attempting to troubleshoot by restarting the car, initially chalking it up to a potential computer glitch. However, my attempts proved futile as the needle stubbornly clung to E and the engine succumbed to a halt. Panic set in, prompting a call to my husband, who, suggesting a potential fuel line leak, reassured me of his imminent arrival and assistance from roadside services. As I anxiously awaited help, an unassuming car materialized behind mine, devoid of headlights. The sight triggered memories of the sketchy individual from the gas station, leading me to voice my concerns to my husband. His tone shifted, expressing genuine worry that the mysterious figure might have tampered with my vehicle. Feeling vulnerable, I took precautionary measures, locking the car, extinguishing the headlights, and requesting my husband to notify me when he drew near. In the face of uncertainty, I sought refuge in the nearest house, repeatedly ringing the bell in my desperate plea for assistance. A man in his 60s, appearing as if he had just been roused from sleep, answered the door. Desperation fueled my request to hide and charge my phone, and after a brief explanation, he graciously invited me in, directing me to the living room. Clad in my nurse scrubs, I experienced a whirlwind of emotions. The man, seemingly hospitable, offered me water from the kitchen. As he filled the cup, I caught a glimpse of his reflection surreptitiously adding something to the water. Despite the unsettling circumstances, I accepted the glass upon his return. With my phone barely clinging to 1%, I discreetly sent my location to my husband, sensing that something was amiss with the water. Opting not to consume it, I feigned gratitude as the man claimed a lack of iPhone chargers and ascended the stairs. With my phone on the brink of shutdown, I shared my updated location with my husband, who confirmed the absence of a charger upon the man's return. A swift decision to leave propelled me back to the road, where I battled nausea as I sent my final location update moments before my phone succumbed to darkness. Concealed behind trees, I anxiously awaited the familiar headlights of my husband's arrival, releasing a torrent of emotions as I recounted the harrowing night to him. Together, we ventured to my car, discovering the absence of the mysterious vehicle. However, the shattered back window and signs of rummaging in the back seat revealed a disconcerting intrusion. Fortunately, nothing valuable had been left behind. Adding to the ordeal, the car battery had been drained. My husband's indignation towards the potential danger I narrowly escaped permeated the air, yet we opted to await the arrival of the tow truck. After a protracted wait, the tow truck finally materialized, transporting my car to the dealership. Confirming my husband's suspicions, the inspection revealed vandalism, with the fuel line intentionally severed. Grateful for the subsequent days off, I embarked on a journey of mental recovery, grappling with the unsettling reality that, on that fateful night, I had narrowly dodged potential danger not once, but twice, each encounter involving different sketchy individuals.